I remember going to the emergency room a few years ago when I was really depressed. I was feeling suicidal. On one hand, I was having a lot of thoughts about ending my life. On the other hand, I knew something was going wrong, and this was really messed up. I need to get help. When you go to the hospital, you have to be realistic and be prepared to wait. You have to go through all the regular hospital procedures and check in. Eventually, you'll see an emergency room doctor, and they may elect to call in a psychiatric nurse or a psychiatrist to see you further. And they'll probably also try to get in contact with your family physician to get their input as well. And I tried to be as honest as possible and tell them that I wasn't feeling safe with myself. Eventually, though, we decided it was probably still best for me to go home and continue my treatment from there. I've talked to a lot of people since. I know the hospital isn't necessarily a great place to be, but if you're feeling really suicidal, it's probably the best place for you. And to be honest, if I had been admitted that day, it probably would have been just as smart of a decision.